What happens when a routine congressional hearing suddenly explodes into one of the most viral political moments of the year? And why are millions of people still debating it days later? Stay with me, because what unfolded inside that packed House Judiciary Committee room wasn't just political theater. It raised serious questions about power, accountability, and the direction of the justice system in America. Jasmine Crockett just went viral for all the right reasons. Or depending on who you ask, for all the wrong ones. In a hearing that quickly went from procedural to explosive, the Texas Congresswoman confronted Attorney General Pam Bondi in a way that instantly grabbed national attention. Social media lit up. Clips spread like wildfire. Supporters called it fearless truth-telling. Critics dismissed it as performance. But here's the real question: was this moment about politics, or something much deeper? As the room settled into what many expected would be a standard oversight session, Crockett stood up and shifted the entire tone. You could feel the tension rising. Instead of following the usual script, she made a decision that caught everyone off guard.
Gentlelady is recognized.
Thank you. I seek unanimous consent to introduce into the record the research that Representative Kamlager-Dove and I referenced concerning the threat of right-wing domestic terrorism, which the Department of Justice scrubbed from its website in September.
Without objection, the gentlelady from Texas is recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And to be clear, I'm not going to ask any questions of this witness because this witness has revealed that she has no intentions of answering questions. But instead, I'm going to ask some very basic questions really quickly of my colleague, Becca Ballant, if she will answer right or
wrong.
Right or wrong, killing random citizens.
Definitely wrong.
Right or wrong, enriching yourself as the sitting president of the United States.
Definitely wrong.
Okay, thank you, because I probably never would have got that with our witness. Our witness who somehow is a lawyer but does not understand how it works with witnesses. I'm not really sure what law school she went to and what all kind of cases she tried, but typically when you come into a space and somebody's a witness, then they sit there and they answer questions instead of asking questions. And then we also have this objection that we use as lawyers called non-responsive when a witness fails to actually answer the question. But nevertheless, let me address the survivors because that's exactly who they are. They are not victims, they are survivors. Let me say thank you for having more courage and moral clarity in your pinky fingers than the entire Department of Justice. We are currently the laughing stock of the world, partially because of the failed leadership within the DOJ as we see kings and queens falling everywhere around the world. But we don't know the basics of right and wrong in this country because it's not about partisanship. And that's why I applaud Thomas Massie, because he's the only person on the Republican side that has a backbone and knows how to stand up to corruption. But nevertheless, let me keep going. My Democratic colleagues have been attacked this entire committee hearing. They have been lied on, and frankly, the American people weren't looking for that. They were looking for answers about the corruption that they see coming from this administration. In the written testimony of this witness, of this particular witness, she stated that when she took office, she had two main goals. The first was to end the weaponization of justice, and second, to return the department to its core mission. Not only have you lied about both, you've intentionally done the exact opposite. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting journalists than you are prosecuting and creeps. In fact, your boss, the President of the United States, stated that this administration, quote, took the freedom of speech away. And at your direction, DOJ has arrested Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. And I might add that y'all actually had a judge that rejected y'all for trying to arrest Don Lemon before, just like the grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Kelly, just like a grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Slotkin, just like the case against Tish James was dismissed and the case against Mr. Comey was dismissed. I completely don't get how it is that you're sitting at the top of DOJ because you don't seem to be good at your job. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting these journalists. In fact, we know after Georgia Fort and Don Lemon were arrested, we know that there were homes of journalists that were raided. We know that threatened prosecution against students protesting your actions and forced tech companies to remove apps used to track ISIS activities. But let's circle back to you protect, because I want to talk about the president and his possible involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't know what the president might have done with Jeffrey Epstein, but unlike this administration, I believe that facts matter, so let's talk about the facts. Fact number one, Donald Trump is one of the most named people in the Epstein files. At least 5,000 files contains more than 38,000 references to Trump, his wife, or Mar-a-Lago. Fact number two, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell available to Trump on multiple occasions. For example, according to this file, Ghislaine Maxwell presented President Trump, who spent more than 20 minutes apparently flirting with her. Here's another example. This shows notes from FBI investigators that describe Jeffrey Epstein transporting a victim to Mar-a-Lago to meet with President Trump, where he bragged to Trump that, quote, "This is a good one." Now, I'm not saying that the president is. There's a lot of evidence in these files that suggests that he's very close friends with a lot of men who. What's crazy about all of this is just that this is a big cover-up. And this administration is engaged in it. In fact, this administration is complicit. But there are numerous others, like how the DOJ is attempting to obstruct justice in the investigation of the rogue agents who have murdered American citizens, or how the DOJ seized voter data from Fulton County in an attempt to steal the 2026 midterm elections, or how federal agents have Tom Homan on tape accepting a bribe and your agency killed the investigation, or how your agency is ready to give the president a $230 million payday, which is unconstitutional. The Constitution is clear. The president shall not receive any payment except his salary while in office. The fact of the matter is that you will be remembered as one of the worst attorney generals in history. An attorney general who has prioritized obstruction over justice, corruption over the law, fealty to the president over loyalty to the Constitution. And Mr. Chairman, I will yield.
Gentlelady yields. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized. Excuse me, gentleman from Kansas, the Attorney General, former Attorney General, Mr. Schmidt is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and General Bondi, thanks for being here. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we talk?
I do. Thank you, Congressman.
She didn't ask questions. Not one. Instead, she made a bold declaration. She wasn't going to engage in a process she believed had already been undermined. That alone changed the dynamic instantly. But what came next is what truly made this moment unforgettable. Rather than questioning Bondi directly, Crockett pivoted to a series of stark moral statements. Simple. Direct. Uncomfortable. She framed them as clear-cut issues, right or wrong, no gray area. And in doing so, she forced everyone watching to confront the underlying themes of the hearing without the usual political filter. Why did that resonate so strongly? Because it bypassed the rehearsed answers, the talking points, the deflections, and went straight to values. And in a political climate where trust is already fragile, that kind of clarity can hit hard. But let's pause for a second. Was this a strategic move to expose a lack of transparency? Or a calculated performance designed to go viral? What do you think? Because while some praised her for cutting through what they see as political noise, others argued she avoided direct engagement. And that divide is exactly why this moment gained so much traction. Crockett didn't stop there. She shifted focus to survivors, making a deliberate point to use that word instead of victims. That choice wasn't accidental. It reframed the conversation entirely, emphasizing strength over suffering. And it added an emotional weight that made the moment even more powerful. She went further, suggesting that those survivors showed more courage than institutions that were supposed to protect them. That's a serious claim. And it raises another question: are systems designed to deliver justice actually falling short? As the hearing continued, Crockett broadened the scope. She connected what was happening in that room to a larger narrative about accountability in Washington. She even acknowledged figures across the aisle, highlighting moments of bipartisan resistance to corruption. That unexpected nod added another layer, making viewers wonder, could there actually be common ground on issues like this? But then the conversation took a sharper turn. Crockett began dissecting what she described as inconsistencies between promises and actions. According to her, commitments to restore integrity and fairness within the justice system weren't aligning with real-world outcomes. She pointed to controversial decisions, questioned priorities, and raised concerns about how resources were being used. And that's when things escalated. She referenced actions that critics argue target journalists and public figures, sparking a broader debate about free speech versus enforcement. Now think about this. When journalists become part of the story instead of just reporting it, what does that mean for transparency? Is it accountability, or something else? Reactions online were immediate and intense. Some saw it as a necessary challenge to power. Others viewed it as selective criticism. But regardless of where people stood, one thing was clear: engagement was through the roof. Then came one of the most controversial segments of the entire exchange. Crockett brought up the Epstein-Files, a topic that has lingered in public discourse for years. She approached it cautiously, acknowledging uncertainty while emphasizing the importance of facts. And that balance is critical, especially in a space where speculation can quickly spiral. She highlighted how certain names appear repeatedly in publicly discussed documents, while also making it clear that allegations and verified facts are not the same thing. That distinction matters. Because in high-profile cases, narratives can form long before conclusions are reached. Still, the mere mention of those files reignited online debates instantly. Threads, breakdowns, theories. Everything resurfaced. People began asking the same question again: what do we really know, and what remains unclear? And here's where viewer curiosity spikes, because unresolved questions keep people watching. What else is in those documents? Why does this topic keep coming back? And will there ever be full transparency? As the hearing moved forward, Crockett returned to present-day concerns. She outlined what she described as patterns. Decisions and actions that, in her view, reflected misplaced priorities. She referenced ongoing investigations, legal challenges, and controversial moves that critics say raise constitutional questions. This wasn't just about one issue anymore. It became about a broader perception of how power is exercised. And just when it seemed like the moment had reached its peak, Pam Bondi responded. Her reply was measured but pointed. She questioned Crockett's approach, highlighting the lack of direct questioning and shifting attention to other issues she considered more urgent. It was a classic counter, redirecting the narrative while defending her position. But here's the interesting part: did that response address the core concerns, or did it reinforce the perception of deflection? Because in moments like this, how something is said can matter just as much as what is said. The exchange didn't resolve the debate. It amplified it. Supporters on both sides doubled down. Clips were replayed, analyzed, and shared across platforms. Political commentators weighed in. And the public. They kept watching. That's the power of moments like this: they don't end when the hearing ends. They continue in conversations, in comments, in the collective attention of millions of viewers trying to make sense of it all. So what does this moment actually tell us? It highlights a growing tension between expectation and reality. Between transparency and perception. Between accountability and loyalty. And maybe most importantly, it shows that people are paying attention again. Because whether you see Jasmine Crockett as a bold truth-teller or a skilled political performer, one thing is undeniable: she shifted the conversation. She forced uncomfortable questions into the spotlight. And she made sure they couldn't be easily ignored. As more information continues to surface and debates evolve, this moment may end up being more than just a viral clip. It could be a turning point in how these issues are discussed, and who gets to control the narrative. So now I want to hear from you. Was this a powerful stand for accountability, or a moment of political theater? Did it bring clarity, or deepen the divide? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a real conversation about it. If you found this breakdown valuable, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more in-depth political analysis, and share it so more people can join the discussion. Because in today's world, staying informed isn't optional, it's essential. And trust me, this story is far from over.